if you're new, you would probably think, hey, 6x6 quilting design, I can use my 6x6 hoop. Right? You cannot use your 6x6 hoop. Well, what about a 6x10 hoop? Can you use a 6x10 hoop for your 6x6 quilting design? Nope, you cannot. All right, so I just want to make sure that you guys understand that. And at the beginning of every single tutorial that we're going to do, I will show a picture of what, and a little wording saying what hoop I'm using. All right, so you won't have to worry about it. It will be in every single tutorial. But for a 6x6 quilting design, you need to have either an 8x8 hoop. That's what I'm going to use, my 8x8 hoop. Or an 8x12 hoop will work, or look at this, an 8x8 magnetic hoop. Thank you, Dory, for this. I am excited to give it a try. So you need a larger hoop, and if your biggest hoop is a 5x7, we'll go over that. All right, I will have specific information on how to make it work using a 5x7 hoop, but your quilting design is 6x6. And what that really means is it's actually 6.5 by 6.5, because there are 5 steps to the quilting. The first one is the placement stitch for the batting, and then the second one is the tack down stitch for the batting. The third one is the placement stitch for the main fabric, and that one is 6.5 inches, 6.5 by 6.5. That's what makes it larger. So steps 3 and 4 is the tack down of that main fabric. So when you're tacking down your main fabric, instead of it being 6x6, it's going 6.5 by 6.5. And that is what makes it too large to fit in a 6x6 or a 6x10 hoop. And then the fifth step in the quilting design is the actual quilting. So when it is the 6x6 quilting design, it's 6.5, and you need an 8x8 hoop or an 8x12 hoop. And again, if your only hoop is your 5x7, we will go over how to do that. And if your largest hoop is a 6x10, we'll show you how to do that too. That's actually really easy. Both of them are really easy and very doable, and we will go over both parts of that, however it's going to work for you. There are a lot of blocks in this quilt that the actual design is 5x7. It will fit in a 5x7 hoop, but it's the quilting that makes it a little bit bigger. And if you're quilting in the hoop, then you want to be able to make that fit in your hoop, and you can. It is absolutely doable and actually easier than you think, and we will go over that. So let's talk about the hoops. So like I mentioned, if you have a 5x7 hoop or a 6x10 hoop as your largest hoop, there will be an issue that the quilting design won't fit. So let's start with the 5x7 hoop. So if you have a 5x7 hoop, you will need to double hoop this, and that's super easy to do, and I will show you how in this first tutorial. But you're going to do a 4x6 quilting design and a 2x6 quilting design, and then it will fit. It will have your entire 6x6, and I will show you a visual of how to do that. It will be easy. You can do it either with, and I'm getting a call. Okay, so let's start talking about if you are using a 5x7 hoop. If you have a 5x7 hoop as your largest hoop and we need to do a 6x6 quilting, then we need to double hoop. And I'm going to show you how very simple that is. So if you have the clear blue tiles, the clear blue tiles are from Kimberbell, and we did an entire clear blue tiles table runner project a while ago so that we could learn how to use the clear blue tiles. And I will tell you, if you need to double hoop, that is the way to go. That is definitely the easiest way, but I'm going to show you with and without so that you have options. So if you have the clear blue tiles, then you're going to get the 4x6 block or tile, 4x6 tile, and the 2x6 tile. And there have been a few that have come in the Bella boxes and the perfectly pieced boxes. So check what you have, and if you don't have those, then clear blue tiles are a great investment for a lot of projects. So you are going to just visually center these very simply, making sure that you have the same amount of room on each corner, and it doesn't have to be exact because we are only going to use the 6x6 part. We will trim it down after we're all done, but you want it straight. So that's the important thing. So all you would do is you would go ahead and mark the center marks. You would write in here 4x6. You would mark up here, here, all of these, the center part here, and write down which hoop size. And then you would do the same around here. So you do one at a time. So you do the edges. We'll go ahead and just write on here. Makes it easy. All right. So around each of the corners so that you know where your tile goes. And then the center mark right here, this is the center mark. I have a little hole here to be able to hold all of my CBTs all together. So you don't use that if you have made your CBTs to go on a binder ring like I have. A gal showed that in our group, and if you've done that, just make sure not to use that hole there. All right, so that's the first one, and then you would line up the second one the same way, and just making sure that it is centered. You can take that one away. That's why we have these marks here. And then you're just going to mark it same as we did before for your CBTs. All right, your crosshair, and then you would write 2x6 here. All right, I'm doing this messy, but you're getting the gist. All right, so then you would know exactly where to put your needle down. Let me show it up here. You would put your needle down here for the 4x6 and here for the 2x6. And you're working within those parameters. Excuse my dogs. All right, if you don't have the CBTs, it's still very, very doable. All right, so let's do the other side. Sorry. Let's do the other side. And what you would do, so by the way, this is an 8.5 by 8.5, just like it says in the directions, and just like I showed on our fabric. I'm pretending that my felt is this 8.5 by 8.5 piece, the main background piece. All right, so and I cut my felt to that just as a test. All right, so 8.5 by 8.5 on your main fabric, and then you're going to fold it in half. Finger press it. You could even iron it if you want, whatever works. And then you would fold it in half again. Make sure everything is lined up just right. And then you would use your water-soluble pen and mark it in that center. It's okay, Archie. There must be a UPS driver across the street. Okay, so this is our center, but remember that we're going to have 4x6 and 2x6, so we don't actually want that center, but we're using that as our guide. So from that center mark, you would measure 1 inch up from there and mark that as your new center. Okay. Okay, so this is our new center. This is our actual center of the entire fabric, but we want 1 inch up from there. All right, so then you would go ahead and do 2x6. So just like if we were to use these as a visual. So here we would line this up and this up. So that gives us the same visual, all right? And I'm gonna show you in the machine how to get your 4x6 and your 2x6 if you don't have the clear blue tiles, okay? Hey everyone, for those using a 5x7 hoop, I wanna give you a visual of what we're gonna do to get your quilting to fit in your hoop. Let me just show you. So I'm using Embellishment Essentials. I'm gonna open that right now. I am an affiliate with Embellishment Essentials. There's a link under this video, and there will be one up top that you can click on if you're in the market for embroidery software. So I wanted to show you real quick I am going to change my hoop to a 6x6 just so that you can see, even though your hoop is a 5x7, and like I said, you're going to do a 4x6 and a 2x6 quilting design. I'm going to show you that in using a 6x6 hoop just to give you a visual before we start. So I would go up here to preferences and click on that, and I have several hoops here. They automatically came as millimeters, and I do inches. So I did change them, and you can see I saved that information here. I don't have a 6x6 hoop listed here, and so I'm going to create one real quick, and that will show you how to do that as well if you have a hoop that's not listed here. So a 6x10, it says it's 160 millimeters by 260 millimeters, so I know that the 6 part is the 160. So I'm going to go ahead and just click new to create a new hoop, and I'm going to say 6x6, and then I'll say 160 by 160 millimeters in case I need that information at some point. But I'm going to go ahead and add in the 160, 160 so that it knows the hoop size. All right, so there it is. So I'm going to go ahead and just click OK, and it will change. So see, I now have a 6x6. You can also see it down here. And I am going to import a quilting design. So I'm going to go here to this merge stitch file, and I'm going to look for my quilting designs. So we are going to do cup 1. Here, we've got it right here. Perfect. Block by block. I use Pez for my machine. You would click on whichever one it is that works for your machine. And then I am going to look for a 2x4 and a 4x6. I'm sorry, 2x6 and a 4x6. Sorry about that. All right, so let's start with the 4x6. Here it is right here. So 4x6 cup 1. I'm just going to double click on that. All right. Now, one thing for this visual, I'm going to take out the placement lines just so that we just have the quilting design, and that's really easy to do. So I know that the steps are 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go ahead and just take these out and just have the quilting design just for the purpose of our visual. So when you do a 4x6 and a 2x6, you're going to have it over, you're going to start with it all the way over. And so think about like the center line. So here is the center of vertically and the center horizontally. So actually I'm going to go ahead and turn this just so that we can have an easier visual. So right here, this rotate button. So here's the center mark. If we bring this design up, and I have to just click on the stitching and move it up. So if we had them the same, if they were the same size, you know, if one was a 3x6 and another was a 3x6, we would just use it from that center line. But since we're using a 4x6 and a 2x6, we're just going to move it up, and then we'll have room for the 2x6. So if I go here to merge stitch file, and I'm going to find a 2x6 of that same design, here it is, double click on that, and I am going to take out the placement lines just for the purpose of our visual. All right, so here is that, and I'm just going to rotate it, and I'm going to move it down. So this is just to show you what we're trying to have happen when we bring our quilting design as a 4x6 and a 2x6. You're going to want them as close as you can get them without overlapping at all. And this is what it will look like. So nobody else will know that it is two different hoopings. And I'm going to show you how to do that very, very easily. But this gives you the visual of the plan. So here's the 4x6 and here's the 2x6. So you're going to do two hoopings, one each in your 5x7 hoop to create this look. That's what we're going for. So now let me show you how to do it. Hey everyone, so I wanted to show you real quick for those that are using a 6x10 hoop or a 6x6 hoop as your largest hoop. Like I mentioned, you would need to do some small alterations to make it fit in your hoop. You can use the larger hoop, but if your largest hoop is a 6x10, then I'm going to show you a very easy way to make it work. I am using Embellishment Essentials. I am an affiliate with Embellishment Essentials, so if you are in the market for embroidery software, please use my link. I will add it in the video. So this is Embellishment Essentials here. My background is light pink. That I changed that in preferences. It's usually white or yellow, so that's it may look different on yours. So I am right now, it shows down here, I'm on a 5x7 hoop. I'm going to change that to a 6x10 hoop. So I'm going to go up here to this folder that says preferences, and I'm going to change it to a 6x10 hoop. All right, so there's my 6x10 hoop. If I go up to this compass here, I can hit H, which stands for hoop, to be able to see it easily. All right, so I am going to bring in the quilting design. So if I go to merge stitch file, this button here, then I can find my my embroidery, my quilting designs. So I have them under Cristin creates, let's see, what is it? Cup of Cheer quilts right here. And then I have the quilt, I have the quilt label, and I have the quilting bundle. So on the bundle, I just click this, and then I'm looking for the cup one is the file, and then you click on the embroidery file. So this is just asking, where is this file that you want me to open? All right, and then there's block by block, or there's clear blue tiles. I'm going to use the block by block method, so I'm going to click on this little plus sign. I use the Pez for my machine, whichever one that you use for your machine, you would click on that. So I'm going to click on that, and then all of the quilting designs start to show up here. And I am looking for a 6x6. And as I mentioned, a 6x6 actually does not fit in your 6x10 hoop. So I'm going to show you about that. So here it is, 6x6 cup 1. So just double click on that, and it goes to the center of the hoop. Now notice, so first off, see how it turns red here. Excuse the dinging on my phone and my computer. It turns red because it doesn't fit in the hoop that I've chosen. I'm in a 6x10 hoop. You can see that down here, and the 6x6 does not fit. So I'm going to show you why. So here, like I said, there are 5 steps to the quilting. The first one is the placement of the batting. So we would do that. I'll show you in photos as we get there. And then the second one is the tack down of the batting. And notice that these fit fine. So it says right here, it's 6x6. That would fit just fine. This third one though, see, this is the 6.5 by 6.5. This is the placement for the main fabric, and also the tack down of the main fabric is number 4, and that one also doesn't fit. So all of them fit just fine. This is the actual quilting design, and again, that fits just fine. So it's just step 3 and step 4 that do not fit because they are 6.5 by 6.5. So you would just delete those. So you just click on it, click delete on your keyboard, click on the next one, click delete. So now you have the placement and the tack down of the batting, and you have the quilting design. So after you trimmed your batting, before you would lay down your main fabric and then just tape it in place. Not a problem at all. It's nice to have those the placement and tack down lines, but if it's going to make it so you can't use your largest hoop, then just delete them. Super easy to do. You do need to do this on software, because on my machine at least, I haven't found a way that you can actually delete a step. So you would need to do it on software, and like I said, I'm using Embellishment Essentials. And you want to do a save as. Very, very important to do a save as, so that if you have to use this again, you don't have to go through this process. You've got it saved. So instead of a file save, because that would save over the current file, and later you may get a larger hoop, or you may just want to have the original file, so you do a save as. So I would just do a save stitch file right here. Save stitch file as. Click on that, and then you can put it in the same folder that you took it from. That makes it easy to find in the future. So mine are under desktop, and then I've had it as the Cup of Cheer. Let's see. spice. There it is. All right, so cup of cheer quilt, and then this one was the quilting bundle. So I just double click on that, and then it was the cup one, embroidery files, block by block, and mine is a Pez. And then I would just change the name here. It just says, it comes up as my design. So I would do it as 6 by 6 shrunk, or 6 by 6 without 3 and 4, 6 by 6 adjusted, whatever is going to make you remember of what you did. So I'm just going to say without 3 and 4. That just makes it simple to me. So, and then I would click save, and then I have it forever, right? It's on my computer. It's with my other quilting designs of this same one. So that just makes it really easy. That's a very simple, easy way to do. And for those of you that have been with me for a while now, you know that we just started using Embrilliance, I don't know, half a year ago or so, not long at all. And we do it step by step, and I go through every time I use Embrilliance. I tell you exactly what I do, so you don't have to worry. It's not a difficult thing at all. Very simple to do. You saw how easy that is. And now this design, so if I were to click on the whole design here, the whole design at the largest point is 6 by 6. This will fit in your hoop. This will work. So that's how easy it is. On my machine, I don't have my embroidery machine on, but if I did, I could click Utility, send to Solaris, or send to XP1. Mine's an XP1, the Luminaire. So you can do that if you have it set up, and that was super easy to do. So I just wanted to show you real quick, using Embrilliance Essentials, how you could transfer the file, or I'm sorry, how you could change the file from a 6.5 by 6.5 to a 6 by 6 so that it'll fit in your hoop if your largest hoop is a 6 by 10. Okay, so just like I mentioned before, the batting is always a 1/2 inch larger than your final cut size. So think about if you are doing 2 hoopings of a 2 by 6 and a 4 by 6, you're going to want 2 pieces of batting, one that is 3 by 7 and one that is 5 by 7. All right, so it's an inch larger than the quilting design, or a 1/2 inch larger than the final cut size. So we're going to start with our 5 by 7 piece for our 4 by 6 quilting design. I hope that makes sense. All right, so one thing is we are doing the block by block method. If you are using the clear blue tiles and you have marked up your main fabric, you could use the CBT version. And so all you would do then is you would have one piece of batting the same size as your main fabric, or even a little bit larger, just so that you can see it. And you would go ahead and do the 4 by 6 quilting design and the 2 by 6 quilting design as the CBT. So you can see that when you open up your quilting designs, there's 2 folders. There's one for the CBT version and one for the block by block version. If you're using your CBTs, you can go ahead and use the CBT design, which does not have the batting placement and tack down. It just has the quilting design. But we're going to do the block by block method, and so we're going to go ahead and do our batting and our main fabric, all of that, and so we're going to go from there. So I've just shown you in a photo that we trimmed the batting. This is a very important step. This is what will give you your seam allowance. You'll see on the next step, but make sure to trim close to the stitch line to take away the extra batting. All right, see, this is our seam allowance right here. This is that 1/4 inch seam allowance, and that means that there's no batting in it. That's why we make sure to trim the batting away, because if we left it, then we're going to have batting in our seams. All right, so if you're not using the CBTs are the most accurate, but this is very doable as well. So remember that we have our mark here that this is the center and this is 1 inch up from the center. So we're going to fold it right on that. We're going to fold it over itself right on that mark that we made. All right, so just like this, and make sure you could actually mark both sides. That would help to make sure it's super accurate. You can see it there though. All right, and just make sure that it's lined up. You don't want this all wonky. You want this to be lined up with the sides. All right, so just like this. All right, and then since we're using the 4x6, you're going to go ahead and line it up. Let's see here, on the edge. All right, of the batting. So from the batting line, there's 2 lines. Remember, this is the batting line. This is the main fabric line. You want to line it up against the batting. All right, so from the batting line, you're going to go from your center. There's little marks on your hoops from your center guide, and you want to mark it up from there and then go right to the batting. And it doesn't have to be exact because we have the extra fabric, but you do want it straight. That's the important thing, is to get it straight. In the center, from your center mark. I used a blue pen from Kimberbell that makes it a little bit easier to see. I can see it on this side, but like I said, you could mark it on both sides. That would actually be a good thing, but you're lining it up with your batting line and making sure your fabric is straight. And then once you've got it right, go ahead and fold that back, and we're going to go ahead and quilt this. So this is an important step as well. On step 4 is a tack down line, and you don't want to do that. You could, if you take the stitches out before you start your next one, that would be okay, but you would have to remove those stitches. So the other option is to just tape it in place and use your machine to move on to the next step, which is the quilting design. And we're going to go ahead and quilt this. I'm using a dark thread just so that you can see it, and remember that my felt is what would be your main fabric. All right, so we finished quilting this, and I just want to show you so that you can see this is the 4x6 portion here. We're going to do the 2x6 portion here, and it will look like a seamless quilting block. It will be totally fine, and I'm going to show you it's actually easier to line up the second hooping than it is that first one. The first one you're guessing a little bit if you don't have the CBTs, but on the second one I'm going to show you it's pretty accurate. Once you have the first 2 steps of the next hooping done, that is the placement for the batting and the tack down of the batting, and then you trim it so that we will have our seam allowance, then my recommendation is to bypass steps 3 and 4 because those are larger and they'll just be in the way. So you've got steps 1 and 2, bypass 3 and 4, and then we'll be ready for the quilting, which is step 5 of the quilting design. So take your main fabric. Don't forget, I'm using white felt as my main fabric. It can be a little deceiving because it's a little similar to the batting, but this would be what is your main fabric. So this one. All right, so for your main fabric, you've already done the 4x6 quilting design. Now we're going to do the 2x6 over here. So this is actually simpler than the first hooping. You're going to fold it back, and you can see that first hooping because we've already trimmed it away. We have just that stitch line there. That's that first hooping that we did. So you can take that and either line it up on this side or on this side. It doesn't matter either way. And you're just going to line it up exactly using that first hooping that you can see. Sorry, helps if I show it in the camera. So right there, that first hooping. So here's our first hooping, and the back of the first hooping, you can see it here, and we're just going to use that to line up with our second hooping, which we have the batting so far. And you're going to push them all the way close together. That's why you want to trim close together when you are you want to trim close to the stitching. So push those two together, not overlapping, just next to each other, and line it up both on the ends here and along the edge. And then you're going to fold it back. And once you have it folded back, you're just going to tape it in place because we're not going to do that basting stitch. So you want to tape this down, and then we will run the 2x6 quilting design here. All right, I forgot to bring my tape over. So using your Kimberbell tape, you're just going to tape it in place, not where it's going to stitch, just enough that it's going to hold it in place. And then we will take it over to the machine and do the 2x6 design here. All right, notice we are on the 2x6 quilting design, and we've got it hooped and taped in place. There's our 4x6 quilting design. We're going to do the 2x6 over here. Okay, did you do your double hoop? So look at this. So it's perfect. There's no big gap between. You would not know that this was done in 2 hoopings. In fact, look at the back. Isn't that exactly perfect? I mean, literally, it's lined up exactly right. You've got your inch or so on each side. It's just perfect. So it is very, very, very doable to double hoop. If your largest hoop is a 5x7, you can absolutely do this. It came out perfectly. Very happy with this.